Joining us, as he does every Monday, Trevor Matich, ESPN college football insider and analyst, BYU national champion, on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. Trevor, it is day 10 of 12 in the coaching search. Ken Niumatalolo is officially in town. Is he the leader in the clubhouse to you right now?
I don't know if he's a leader in the clubhouse. I know he's a strong candidate. You know, there are only three head coaches that are active LDS right now in college football, and one of those is the one who just left, Bronco Mendenhall. The other one's up at Utah. So, you know, Ken Niumatalolo is the third guy. So if you want to hire a head coach from the college ranks, he's your guy. But the thing is, I think there's other things that make him a really strong candidate. And one of them is that he's the kind of a guy that recruits love. He's humble, and yet he's strong. He's confident. He's engaging. He's the kind of guy that I think if they do hire him there would be able to keep some of the top BYU athletes, or LDS athletes that are getting away from the state of Utah and heading out to the West Coast and other places. So I think that he, whether he's a leader in the clubhouse, I don't know, but I think he brings a lot to the table.
I say day 10 of 12 because it took 12 days to hire Bronco Mendenhall the last time BYU went into a coaching search. But how about the other side? Why would Ken Niumatalolo leave Navy? He's in a great place.
He is in a great place. And the thing is, that's a place that's also very difficult to hire because you need to understand the culture at the military academy and be able to succeed within it. And he's proven that he can do that at the highest level of all the military academies right now. And so, you know, that's a great thing that he's got going on there. I think it is the LDS connection that is one of the major things for him in being interested. Certainly he talked to ESPN and told them on game day that his faith is very important to him, and that's one of the primary reasons that he will listen to whatever BYU has to say. So I think it's a very interesting pull for him because he's in a position to where he can stay at Navy pretty much as long as he wants. But the pull of BYU as an LDS coach, I think, is strong for him.
Yeah, and you look at Keenan Reynolds who's graduating. This is the most successful year Navy's had in a long time, maybe ever. They could win 11 games with the Pitt game. So he's a hot commodity as well, in addition to being LDS. And I really like something he said in the Washington Post, Trevor. He said, "I'm just a fat guy who stands in the middle of the field and watches the game," in connection with the players are actually making the plays on the field. But our Twitter question today, I want you to answer this. What could Ken Niumatalolo bring to BYU that other candidates cannot?
He would bring cachet. He would bring instant credibility to living rooms as he recruits. I think Darrell Bevel, the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, would have been the other guy that would do that, but he's not available to BYU. Kyle Whittingham from Utah would do that. I'm not sure that he would come. Other than that, the guys that are being mentioned as candidates right now, Niumatalolo is the highest profile. He's had success as a head coach. And I think that recruiting will be the single biggest key at BYU going forward. And he would be the one that would have the most instant credibility with recruits right now.
If Ken is hired, a lot of people are worried, well, what about the triple option? That's what he's best at. Would Niumatalolo be a good fit for BYU not running what he's best at, the triple option?
You know, he's run that his entire coaching life for the most part. But he's a smart guy, and head coach is so much more than just what offense they bring or what defense they bring. As a matter of fact, when you're the head coach, you have to have a quality coordinator because you don't have time to do all the things as well as they need to be done as both the chief executive and the guy scheming and running the offense. So, you know, I don't know that the triple option is the greatest match for BYU, the greatest fit, at least not right now. They'd have to retool the entire roster, and it would be a couple, 3 years before they'd be able to really compete offensively because they just don't have the kinds of guys they need to be able to get that done in big enough numbers. So they'd have to do a lot of recruiting. Those guys would have to then grow up and get a little older, become upperclassmen, and you'd be waiting for that to happen. In the meantime, there's Tanner Mangum sitting there as, you know, one of the best freshman passers in the nation this year. So, you know, I don't see any reason why, if he wanted to, Niumatalolo could not do a hybrid of elements of his triple option with more traditional passing attack that BYU fans are accustomed to, and Tanner Mangum is more suited to perform and suited to do. You'd have to be able to pick and choose which aspects of the triple option you would incorporate, because it's an offense that you really have to commit to. But there are slices of it that you could build into the running game that would not necessarily interfere with the quarterback throwing the ball and would not necessarily expose the quarterback to too many hits if he's not that guy that's great at being a running quarterback. So there are all kinds of possibilities out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Niumatalolo and Tom Holmoe were talking about what some of those hybrid concepts might be should he be hired as the coach.
It seems like there are it's down to three candidates. Darrell Bevell ruled out. Lance Anderson not in the discussion for whatever reason. And then you have Kalani Sitake, Kyle Whittingham, and Ken Niumatalolo. The 3 Ks, as I've called them. Rank the top 3 coaching candidates right now for BYU in order of best fit.
Well, I think best fit right now, Kyle Whittingham would be the best. I don't know that he would leave Utah, though. I don't know what BYU would provide him professionally that Utah does not already, and especially the access being in the Pac-12. I think that Utah could probably pay him more going forward than BYU could. So he would come to BYU for reasons other than what typical professional spreadsheets would dictate. I think that Kalani Sitake, the defensive coordinator at Oregon State, he would be a very good fit there. I think it would be his first year as a head coach, but he is the kind of guy, by all accounts, that already does the things that head coaches need to do. He's good at leading, but he's also good at delegating. He's good at managing. He's good at working with people and getting the best out of them as a defensive coordinator. That's his style of coaching at Oregon State, and I think he would be a good fit. I think Niumatalolo would probably be the best of all if they could work out the offense. Again, I don't know that a straight triple option would be what the fans would want, what the school would want. And frankly, if BYU is a candidate to join a Power 5 conference, I don't know that a Power 5 conference would want to add a team that runs that straight Navy-style triple option, because they'd be worried that there'd be so many blocks down into the legs of their defenders every year that they'd lose guys. Now, it's sort of a misnomer that the offensive line cut blocks every play. They don't. But on the edges, you see the receivers and the running backs blocking. They're cut almost every time. And so there are a lot of low blocks that are legal and clean, but low. And I wonder if Power 5 conferences would want to bring that in for a full schedule of conference games into their conference if it's there in its full glory, like it is at Georgia Tech and Navy. So, these are things that to be considered. And really, there's a lot of things that Tom Holmoe and the people helping him make this decision have got to consider.
ESPN's Trevor Matich, college football expert, with us on BYU Sports Nation. It is Matich Monday. Bronco Mendenhall and 6 of his 9 assistant coaches officially announced at Virginia now. What kind of BYU team do you expect to show up in Las Vegas against Utah, given the fluctuating situation for the BYU coaches?
Oh, I think for BYU players, playing the Utah Utes tends to focus the mind. And I think that with all this flux, I think that they're mature enough, being BYU guys, return missionaries, marry and have children. It's a good mix of experience and maturity on that team. And I don't think they'll get too caught up in the change. They understand that's part of the business. I think they love their coaches. And so I think they'll want to play for those guys, play hard, play well, and give them not only a win to send them off, but a win over Utah to send them off. So, I think actually playing Utah in this bowl game is the best thing for BYU and their players to make sure they are focused to do the best they can in this particular game, because everything comes together into a perfect storm to kind of, if not overcome, then at least to mitigate the influence of all the disruptions that are occurring right now.
Isn't it wild that BYU is playing Utah and we haven't even discussed any matchups, anything on the field, really? It's just been off, the coaching search. So what are some matchups on the field that you like with BYU and Utah that stick out in preparation for this game?
Well, it's the passing attack against the Utah defense. I mean, the Utah defense is very opportunistic. They play very well in the secondary, and they get after the passer in a major way. And so Tanner Mangum, for all the things that he has to look forward to down the road, he better be very careful to get that ball out of his hand right now, because teams in the Pac-12 really struggled against this BYU defense in terms of the way they were able to not only stop the run but get after the passer. The other thing is they're crazy on special teams, just flat out insane crazy on special teams. And they run some special teams trick plays this last year that I'd never seen before in my life. I mean, they like invented them out of whole cloth. And because of this being a bowl game, they've got extra time to invent stuff. You know, I would not get up off the couch too early if there's a punt or a kickoff or anything like that to go grab something to eat, thinking that the kicking play won't be very exciting. When Utah's on the field, the kicking play could be the most exciting play of the entire game. So, you know, these are things that fans should be looking for, and that should also focus the mind of the BYU players, because if you're not focused, the way Utah does things, they can beat you really fast.
I'm gathering that you are in favor of what BYU has chosen as a uniform option, and that is the royal tops on white pants, Trevor. Throwback to your era. What do you think about that uniform combo for the Las Vegas Bowl?
Well, that's not really a throwback. That is the correct uniform. You know, I just don't like the Navy. I just don't. You know, the Y is still there, but I would prefer the royal, because the royal blue says BYU. For me, the Navy says Penn State. It just does. And so, you know, I mean, that's me and the people that played in the royal blue and then watched the royal blue. Maybe now the navy blue means BYU to the people that watch it. And so I just think that the royal blue says BYU more. So there'll be more than just a bit of nostalgia when I watch that game and see those uniforms.
Ken Niumatalolo is on the mind. So when you said, I don't like the Navy, I thought, no, we all like the Navy. What are you talking about, Trevor?
Yeah, no, that would be with the small N. Yeah. I'll tell you, the
Why doesn't
military
Trevor like the
academy,
Navy?
In playing against Air Force for 4 years, I'll tell you this, that I hated to play against Air Force because I couldn't hate their players. I wanted to. You know, you hate in a football way. I mean, you've got to play football angry. But I had so much respect for those guys that I just couldn't hate them. So I played that game without the anger that you need to play football with every year I played them. And I didn't like that. We beat them all 4 years. But it wasn't fun. I didn't like hitting them. I had too much respect for them. And so it's the same way with, you know, watching that Army-Navy game and watching Ken Niumatalolo coach in that game. It was there's a tremendous respect that I have for what they're able to do. And the thing is, the fact that he's had so much success there with the limitations in recruiting and with the limitations that the players have based on the things that they need to do in their requirements in being students at a military academy, being cadets and midshipmen, et cetera. The coming to BYU for him will probably be a real simple thing.
Trevor, you pointed out to us earlier that you also beat Utah all 4 years that you played here, so
yes.
Undefeated against Air Force and Utah. Just thought I'd bring that up again.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, because it's always important to remind those guys on those Utah teams that while I do have some measure, I do respect them, I do, but we beat you, and you'll never have another crack at us. So we got you. Just live with it for the rest of your life and for time and all eternity.
Trevor, great to talk to you as always.
All right, thanks, guys.